Right. Good morning all. Good morning to the loyal listeners of the Street 919 FM. Thank you for choosing the Street 919 FM as your frequency of choice. This Sunday morning, 6th of February 2022. Why is 2022 racing? Thank you for choosing this frequency to take you through the rest of the morning drive time as we head up to 1 o'clock. So you're tuned in to Cooking with Dominic Romain on a Sunday. For those of you who might be new listeners, we welcome you. And to all of our regular listeners, welcome as well. So as I always say on a Sunday, wherever it is that you're taking us in, if it is that you are sitting around your kitchen table, good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Giuseppe. If you are preparing lunch or making your way to or from the grocery, well, that's our wife now starting to cook lunch well. Right. So, good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Regis. Good morning to my colleague Sharon and Bruce, all of the staff of the Street 919 FM. Mother Tunapuna, good morning to you. Mano. Morning, Angie. Good morning to my friend Louise Matura. Good morning to Miss Monica. Morning. I know I'm supposed to call you back. But just that I got a little tired up a couple of times that you called me. I was busy and then I forgot. So, yeah. So, I'll address that today. So, Oman Oga, good morning to you too as well. And to the haters, morning to the trolls. Jerome Moses, you and I will have a conversation today, Jerome. To Steve Jordan, Steve, whatever the heck your name is. I am your godfather and I wasn't invited to the baptism. So, and to all the others. And it was only a matter of time before you all log on. Jump on board. I mean, the social media handles are up. I understand we're back up on Facebook, on YouTube, and Facebook. So, feel free to jump in. Right, so let's just get straight to it because it's already 20 past 11 and we know how the time flies on a Sunday morning. So, I had the displeasure yesterday of listening, as usual, and usually on a Saturday, to propaganda, misinformation, you call it what you like. But, you know, there was a bit of redemption yesterday because the Prime Minister spoke at the conversations or the virtual meeting that they had yesterday in Laventil. And he has sounded the alarm. The Prime Minister indicated that the PNM is officially back on the battlefield, led by the Brigadier General himself, Dr. Rowley. So no more pat and powder. As he said, he was away from the battlefield for a year and a half, and while the cat was away, the mice played. But enough of that. The gloves are off, right? And no more Mr. Nice Guy. So he has instructed the Attorney General to disclose all of the matters that the government has been dealing with, presumably with respect to allegations of corruption that would have taken place under the last administration. But within the sub judice rules, as much as the Attorney General can disclose with respect to that matter, will be disclosed. So we look forward to hearing that. We know people have been calling what's going on with this matter, what's going on with that matter. Well, the AG has been given the green light by the PM to disclose whatever he can. All right? So, Prime Minister said going forward, there will be a lot of meetings like what took place yesterday to inform the public, but more so, the mantra is educate, educate to liberate. So the PNM will be going on a massive education drive to let the people know what has been happening, what will be happening. So all the haters who like to say the government ain't do nothing because they're too damn intellectually lazy to go and do the research and find out what has been happening, the government will bring it to you. All right? So, that's a good bit of good news. So let me address some of the stuff that I heard yesterday. Right? I always take pleasure in debunking foolishness. People who like to speak with authority like they know, right, and like to use titles of professor and so on, speaking from a position of ignorance, because they know that the audience, like themselves, don't know the ARSE from the elbow when it comes to certain matters, but like to talk as if you do. So let's address some of those things today. First of all, the dishonesty that was said yesterday. So we call and we want to say good morning to the Prime Minister and greet the Prime Minister, but then making a claim that the last time the Prime Minister was in Laventil was in 2011. Now, I recall that Dr. Rowley has opened not one but two swimming pools in the constituencies of the both Laventil constituencies, and that wasn't in 2011 because in 2011 the People's Partnership was in office. So unless they moved the swimming pool, the last one that they opened just a couple of weeks ago, from Mova to, I don't know, Siparia, and Dr. Rowley went to Siparia and he opened it there, and then they took the pool back to Mova. That claim that was made yesterday by the goodly professor from New Jersey is absolutely untrue, that the last time the Prime Minister was in Laventille was in 2011. Okay? But, you know, we will come on radio and shamelessly make such claims. That was just one of several shameless claims that was made yesterday by the goodly individual. All right? And I think the Prime Minister would have had some conversation. One of his conversations with the Prime Minister was in fact held in Laventille. I just can't remember the date, but I recall that was the case. But the claim is the Prime Minister only last time he went to Laventille was in 2011. All right. So that's one. So I heard a clip played partly from Philip Alexander with respect to the pods in the savannah. That was the big topic. And the amount of misinformation and dishonesty that is in the public domain with respect to that is mind-boggling. But we like to talk about, we know how to use Google and we know how to do research, right? Clearly that's not the case. Because I heard some allegations yesterday about insider trading. And it had some, how did the contractor know? And the contractor have the material sit down there for the pods and all kind of thing. And did somebody know beforehand that they was going to do that and all kind of thing, right? And that is fraud and this and that. And so the clip from Philip Alexander, which I've been trying to locate, because I went on all of his social media pages, and apparently, I don't know if he took it down, realizing that he too doesn't know his ARSE from his elbow, making all kind of allegations, unfounded. It's the same thing he did with the Red House. Remember the 440 million budget that this administration would have set aside for the Red House. Every Monday morning, Mr. Alexander would go in front of the Red House, set up his camera and do a live talking about 440 million, and all they did was to change the roof, change the flooring in the Red House, change the windows, and dab on and splash on a dab of paint. And that was the sum total of all that was done, and $440 million spent. Absolute dishonesty, right? But of course, he knows the gullible haters would lap that up. But that was the claim that he made, not talking about the companion building behind the Red House, which was formerly the office of the Attorney General, Cabildo Chambers, which had to be outfitted to provide offices for all members of Parliament, that which didn't exist before. So all the members of Parliament now have offices in that building, behind the Red House, hence the reason they would have put up that structure connecting the Red House to Cabildo Chambers, you know, the walkover. So if they're in the offices and it's on a parliamentary day, they could just walk across from the office and come to the Red House. We didn't talk about that. All of the air conditioning that was put into the Red House and all of these things in the basement and all of that, all the work that was done. So he wanted an itemized list of all the contractors and how the money is spent. And the Prime Minister came in the Parliament. And I know that claim by Philip Alexander greatly incensed the Prime Minister, right? Having sat in on a meeting with the Prime Minister, and he had expressed his absolute consternation at the claims that Mr. Alexander was making, and he came to the Parliament and he disclosed the information. After that, we didn't hear nothing from Philip Alexander. It was the same thing with President's House. 89 million, he had a problem with that. Every Monday morning, Monday evening, he's setting up camera in front of the Red House by President's House by the Savannah, and doing a live talking about he spoke to this contractor and that contractor, and they say this contractor say this and that contractor say that, and that was too much money, and he want an itemized list of how the money is spent and all of that. All right? But yet still, the same Philip Alexander, who saw it fit to make his way to the Savannah to do a live to talk about the pods, right, and $25 to $35 million for the pods, totally ignoring the fact that the budget that was originally announced by the chairman, Gypsy, 25 to 30 million, is for 28 events that would be held across 3 venues: Queen's Hall, Queen's Park Savannah, and Aparima Bowl. Not the pods. But if you listen to these clowns, you would get the distinct impression that 25 million was spent on pods. They want to call it pig pen, all kind of name they want to give it. Right? But the same Gypsy that they cussing now, they seem to forget that was the same Gypsy who for the last 2 years had a similar arrangement in the same Savannah. Right? Because normally you would have had the North Stand and the Grandstand. The same Gypsy as chairman of the NCC for the last 2 years, well, not the last 2 years, 2019, 2020, indicated that it was costing the NCC too much money to erect and take down the North Stand. 2 million to put it up, 2 million to take it down. And the main event for which the North Stand was used was Panorama semi-finals. Otherwise to that, the North Stand was basically unused. So the other events that is held in the Savannah for Carnival, people would usually use the Grandstand. And the North Stand, you might have 1 or 2 persons sitting down there at best. So it did not make sense to erect that structure, 2 million to take it down for only 1 day use. And they set up this North Park, remember? With the same kind of pod setting, except that it wasn't a set of small pods, but I think they had about 3 or 4 covered areas with tents, and people would come in each of these areas and so on. Same setup, cost plenty less. Did you all praise Gypsy for that? For saving NCC millions of dollars? But in 2020, the very people who like to go to Panorama semi-finals because it's a big line, they may go in there to listen pan. They go in there for the lime and the DJ and so on, was upset. We were back with North Stand. Right? They weren't complaining, then it's $4 million. We were back with North Stand for 1 day. 1 day, $4 million. Same people who complaining now and griping about, what that money could do and the 15 million and what they could have spent it on, and they could have buy more beds in the hospital and they could have paved road and pay public servants, they back pay. Really? How many public servants you think you could pay with $15 million for back pay? Over 80-something thousand public servants. How many of them you think that 15 million could really pay? But you just like to talk nonsense, right? No substance whatsoever, and just come and run all your mouth on the radio and in the comments on the live and so on, right? Because that making sense. But all your costing now Gypsy now. So the budget went from an approximate 30 million to half. So now the Carnival stakeholders complaining 15 million is not enough. What are they going to do with that? So they'll have to cut out some of the shows, some of the events that they were planning to have because that 15 million just not cutting it. Right? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You had the other creatives on the soca side and so on who complaining that they were left out of the thing because NCC does not normally have any dealings with soca. As we know, NCC is Pan, Mass, and Calypso. The board of NCC has representatives from Tuco, representatives from Pan Trinbago, and representatives from the TTCBA, which is the new organization that replaced the NCBA, which was formerly the Representative Association for Mass Bands. But there is no, as far as I'm aware, there is no representative because there is no official body that is sanctioned by the Constitution or by an act of Parliament that deals with soca. So they don't have any, so NCC doesn't really deal with them. So I understand there's 20 million is the budget, of which 5 million has been set aside to deal with other events such as what these other promoters and so on might wish to have. Right? So $20 million. But we're hearing all the different things that they could have spent that money on and whatnot and what have you. Let's discuss that this morning. So the first thing I want to touch on is the issue of the claim by the goodly professor, the insinuation, the professor from New Jersey, about insider trading, that the contractor knew about the work before, and somebody probably tell the contractor something, as the case may be, because they can't understand how the contractor had all these materials on hand and so on to do the work. So let me educate the godly professor. Now, you know the thing I can't understand? No, I don't want to have I don't really like to engage the individual. But you see, when you like to use title to speak with authority, and you're talking rubbish, garbage, and fooling people, tying up people's head, I have an issue with that. Right? Now, this individual says that he lectures in business management or whatever it is. And I can't understand that you lecture in business management and don't know about the different types of tender or procurement procedures and options. So I want to talk about a little bit about that today, right? Let me inform the individual. Let me download this here. There's something called... No, before I go there. I'm reading here from a document called the Ministry of Finance and the Economy Central Tenders Board Division, Tender Procurement Policies and Procedures. And this is dated the 14th of April 2014, and it is a production of somebody by the name of Indrani Rampasad, who's the Director of Contracts for the Ministry of Finance and the Economy Central Tenders Board Division. 14th of April 2014. Who was in government? 14th of April 2014. The People's Partnership. Who was the Prime Minister? Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Let me read this for you. Right? Let me educate the professor. Let me educate Jerome Moses. Jerome, I have a back in times for you just now. Hold on. Don't go nowhere. You and Steve and Eric Williams and whoever else, I have a back in times for you. Tendering procedures. Right? So let me enlighten them. The public sector has 4 different types of selection of procurement methods. Let me read this for you from the document. The tenders committee must decide which is the best form of procurement method that would suit the project. The forms of procurement methods are 1. Public tendering. 2. Sole selective tendering. 3. Sole tendering. 4. Three-quote system. You hear that, Professor? Let me repeat it for you. Sole tendering, public tendering, sole selective tendering, sole tendering, and the three-quote system. Let me explain what each is for you. I hope you have a pen and a notepad. And I'll repeat it for you one more time in case you went in the fridge to get a red shandy or a ginger shandy and you missed what I said. Let me repeat it for you. Right? The tenders committee must decide which is the best form of procurement method that would suit the project. Some forms of procurement methods are public tendering, sole selective tendering, sole tendering, and the three-quote system. Public tendering takes place where the world at large is invited and it is advised on the media and various websites. Sole tendering. Sole tendering occurs when only one firm is invited to submit a bid, and there must be proper justification. This may happen during an emergency or disaster when immediate services are required, or as a result of a technical agreement and other cooperation between the government of Trinidad and Tobago and a foreign country. Sole tendering continued. When continuity for further work is required by an existing technical contractor and the inside knowledge gained by this contractor's performance is satisfactory to deliver the additional services. He shall prepare technical and price proposals on the basis of the terms of reference, and this could be negotiated by the entity. A report must be submitted as soon as possible to the Minister of Finance and the Economy, prepared by the Line Ministry. 3. Sole selective tendering. Sole selective tendering. Limited suppliers or distributors are invited to bid, for example, vehicle distributors, auditing companies. And 4, the three-quote system. When a permanent secretary or an authorized officer wishes to disperse the sum of 1 million or less, 3 quotations may be invited. The firm offering the lowest cost may be selected. If not, a justification must be recorded, and it is important to invite quotations within the authorized limits. All right? We go further. Quoting here from a man by the name of Afro Raymond. You all know that name? You should know that name. The UNC like to quote him liberally because he was one of those who had an issue with the Sandals project. Let me just tell you what he says about sole selective tendering. Sole selective is a non-competitive contracting approach in which a single firm is selected to participate in a commercial opportunity. Right? The sole selective approach can be readily adopted if the provider is someone with a proven track record which has created a sound working relationship. Let me repeat that, sir. In case you went back, you was real thirsty and you went back for another shandy. The sole selective approach can be readily adopted if the provider is someone with a proven track record which has created a sound working relationship. Now, for those of us who've had the pleasure of working with the National Carnival Commission for the past, since 2003, 18, 19 years or so, would know when you visit the Savannah stage, which is has the world record for the longest stage in the world, the base of that stage, they use scaffolding, something called wedge lock scaffolding. Go and Google that, Professor. Jerome, go and Google that too now. Yeah? Google it, Eric Williams. Go and Google it. Wedge lock scaffolding and see what it look like. Yeah? So when I hear people calling and talking about they use the scaffold and they probably cut it and in different size and so on, shows that you have absolutely no understanding about these things. So the base of the stage is scaffolding, and then they would put whatever board and stuff on top of it. They also use that same type of scaffolding for the judges' enclosure, right? Which is similar to the pod that they have, just a little bigger. They use that same scaffolding for the media practitioners' enclosure. So the members of the media, their enclosure is just usually right next to the judges' enclosure, so they would sit down right in front of the stage to take the pictures and whatnot and what have you. It is the same enclosure, the same type of scaffolding that they would use for the enclosure for the DJ, the house DJ, right? It is also the same type of scaffolding that they use at the different judging points. Adam Smith Square, Victoria Square, Piccadilly Greens, right? Those scaffolding that they use to put up the stands, and also, again, for the judges' enclosure in the judging areas. So for those of us who have had the pleasure of working at these judging points or visiting to take in the mass from there, you would know that this is the type of scaffolding that they use. And there are a couple contractors that the NCC typically uses every year to do this, because as I read for you just now from Afra Raymond, sole select tender usually is ideal in situations where the contractor has a proven track record. As somebody that you've worked with before, you know the quality of their work, and so you would usually engage them. All right? So this thing about, oh, the contractor is convenient, how it is the contractor had the material. You see, and again, the individual lectures in business management. Now, these contractors don't only work for the NCC. Because as you know, around carnival time, Trinidad has a lot of fetes, whether it be all-inclusive fetes or the other fetes. And there's a lot of scaffolding that is used for the stages and different things, you know, for the different enclosures and stuff. So obviously, if you are a good contractor with respect to scaffolding, and you would familiarize yourself with what are the needs, because not just scaffolding is no longer just used to put up around building when you're going and paint, or you're going to clean windows and so on, right? It is now used extensively in the entertainment sector when it comes to fetes in Trinidad. So this contractor, who would usually work with private entities for the all-inclusive fetes and the other fetes and so on, obviously would invest in these things. So they have it there in the warehouse. So when I hear a man calling to ask if after the carnival has ended, the taste of carnival has ended, if the metal poles or whatever it is would become scrap iron, would be sold for scrap iron. No, sir. All of those scaffolding pieces belong to the contractor who has a warehouse. When carnival, the taste of carnival is over, the man will do what he does every year. When he comes to dismantle the stage and everything else that his scaffolding was used for, he will pack it back up in the truck, take it back to the warehouse, and it will stay there until the next carnival comes around again. You understand? This year, they didn't have to put up any judging points anywhere because there is no judging taking place. There's no parade of the bands. So all judging will be taking place in the three venues, which is the Queen's Park Savannah, Queen's Hall, Naparima Bowl. All right? The only place that they require scaffolding is in the Savannah. Okay? So that should deal with this issue about, how the contractor know to get material and whatever it is. The man accustomed with that. All right? The same thing applies. It's usually the people with the lift, when you go in the Savannah again, having worked there for the past 18 years or so, they have these lifts that they use to put on the lighting and so on and whatnot. It's the same company you see every year, Unlimited Power Tools. Right? Same company that you see, sole select tender. Now we're dealing with a situation here where the decision to have a taste of carnival was made at the last minute. The normal procedure when you're tendering, you would put it out in the newspaper. For about 2 to 3 weeks, you advertise it. Then when the tenders come in, you now have to sit down for another 2 or 3 weeks to assess all of the tenders that come in to decide who you're going to shortlist. And then having done that now, then you have to engage the contractors and so on. This thing was time sensitive. Right? Because Carnival, the taste of Carnival is taking place. It has started, I think, a couple nights ago. I saw where they had some veterans Calypso thing, which I thoroughly enjoyed on TV6. I think it was Friday night, which was the first taste. But you didn't have time because the decision was made towards the middle of January. You didn't have time for 2 weeks or 3 weeks to put out tender and then another 2 weeks to assess and then to come and engage people. By that time, we're in March. So this was one of those instances where sole select tendering would have made sense. But let me further educate the professor and the others who don't seem to understand how the thing does work. You see, tendering is no longer done in the way that it used to be done long ago, right? Because now with technology, there's something called e-tender. So what most companies will do is they would put out usually RFPs for what is called RFPs, meaning requests for proposals, to pre-qualify contractors, so that they can establish a database of contractors for the different goods and services that they may need to procure at some point in time during the normal course of business. And it speeds up things. So here's what they will do. They would put out an RFP in the newspaper inviting contractors, and they would set out a list of all the different goods and services that they would need and ask contractors who supply these goods and services to pre-qualify. The contractors would then be expected to access the pre-qualification documents. Sometimes they have to pay a fee, sometimes they don't. So once they access the pre-qualification documents now, the documents would ask for certain information. You know, the background, they're required to present their certificate of incorporation, articles of incorporation, and all of these different official documents, VAT registration and whatnot and stuff. Provide references of the work that you have done before, and so on. Indicate the size of your company, how many workers you have. It's a very comprehensive document that seeks to get as much information as possible from the contractors. So you might find that this RFP, they might have about 20 or 30 different services that they're looking for contractors for. Once the RFP period is closed off and all the well, not bids, but all the documents, the pre-qualification documents have come in from all the contractors, they would then have the tenders committee go through all of these documents now to shortlist. So let's say, for instance, one of the services that they're looking for contractors for is air conditioning. And let's say 40 air conditioning companies would have sent in documents. The tender committee will go through the applications of all 40, but out of that 40, they might just pick 10, the best 10, to create a database. And they get rid of the next 30. So they have a database now of 10 air conditioning contractors, large, medium, and small. So that if at any point in time the need arises for them to engage the services of an air conditioning contractor, rather than now have to go and advertise to put out the offer or the tender documents in the newspapers, for 40 people to come and submit documents to apply, and then you have to go through that. You already have a short list of the 10 best contractors in the country, and you will go through. So let's see. Is this a small job? Yes. So we're not going to engage one of the big contractors because it might just be we're just looking for a contractor to replace 12,000 BTU AC. So let's look at who are the small contractors we have. We have 3 of them. All right. Just send them an email asking them to quote on this job. Just the 3 small contractors. So we get 3 quotes from them, and we look at it. Well, we're looking at price. But not only price, we're looking at what's the after-sales service that they're offering, what is the warranty period that they're offering on these air conditioning units. And then based on that, a decision would be made. So we didn't need to go and spend a set of money to advertise in the newspapers for 2 weeks, because newspaper advertising ain't cheap, and on social media, to invite people to bid to replace 12,000 BTU air conditioning units. We don't need to do that because we already, through our pre-qualification exercise, we have a database of contractors who we've pre-qualified. We've gone through their documents, we've checked with their references, we've seen their work, and so we know they're legit, right? And these are the people that we will work with. It's the same thing that happens in the public sector. And I can testify to that. Because as I sit on the board of the National Trust, I'm also on the tenders committee. So every time we need to procure something, that is the system that we would use. Our line ministry has a number of contractors who've already been pre-qualified. So whatever it is that we need, we would say, okay, who are the ministries or the government's pre-qualified contractors to do this job? And then we would invite these people to tender for the job. They send in their quotations and so on. It comes before the tenders committee, which comprises the chairman, the vice chairman, the secretary, the treasurer, 2 other members of the board, and the facilities manager. And we all sit in a meeting and we go through each quotation step by step, and the facilities manager will make a case. Well, okay, this is this, that is that. As a matter of fact, just 2 weeks ago, the tenders committee met so that we could approve the purchase of a leaf blower for Mille Fleurs, our headquarters. Now, we already have one down Nelson Island, which falls under the remit of the National Trust. But it was a problem every time to have to be transporting this one leaf blower back and forth. And it is used extensively down on Nelson Island, so a decision was taken to purchase one specifically for Mille Fleurs. Right? A leaf blower. It cost $2,000. What did we do? We solicited quotes from about 4 different hardwares that carry that particular brand, because it's a brand that we know, it's a brand that we trust, and there are only certain hardwares that carry that have the authorization to carry that brand. We solicited quotes from all 4 of them. The committee met. We went through, okay, this. We didn't need to put out tender in the newspapers to buy a leaf blower, because the money that we would have spent to advertise that would have cost more than the leaf blower. You understand? So it is not in every situation that you need to do that. So let's talk about insider trading and the contractor knew beforehand and all kind of bacchanal. You always boasting you know how to do research, and PNM people don't know how to use Google and all kind of thing, and you ain't talking about Pastor Google, you're talking about Google and the internet. And you don't know about that? You lecturing in business management and don't understand what pre-qualification is? You don't know that this is the new wave, this is how it's done? You are not familiar with the 4 ways that they do tendering in the public sector and the private sector too? And you lecture in business. You sure? You see, this is the kind of thing that causes people to question your credentials. I can't understand it. It's just not making no sense to me. But anyway, I don't know if I had the time. Because I told Jerome and them I have a little back in time for them, right? Now the budget that has been approved for the Taste of Carnival is $20 million. And we still have people who have an issue with that, right? 15 million for NCC and another 5 million. Now, that Taste of Calypso that we got on Friday, hosted by TUCO, the president of TUCO, Mr. Ainsley King, was interviewed, I think, a couple of days ago. With respect to the budget, the finally approved budget of 15 million. And he too was expressing his disappointment because, as he said, the original budget that the NCC was playing with for the Taste of Carnival was 75 million. And then it came down to 50 million. And then it came down to 30 million. And now it's been halved to 15 million. Yes? Now, well, you find 75 million is a lot in these times, right? These critical times. Hold your horses. Let me play this for you. Jerome, this for you. And Steve. And Eric Williams. And I forget the other guy's name. And Namala too. Yeah, this for you. Let me see, which one is this? I'm going to put up both of them. Tell me if you all remember this one. There's a little back in times. Here it is.
And together we will emerge stronger. Let us take a look at the global energy situation. Over the past months, the price of crude oil moved from a high of US $107 per barrel in June 2014 to US 48.65 at the close of business yesterday. This represents about a 55% decline. The 2015 budget, as you may recall, last September, was based on the projected revenue and expenditure using price assumptions of US $80 per barrel for oil and US $2.75 per MMBTU of gas. The downward trend in oil prices globally has also impacted natural gas prices, and other petroleum chemicals are beginning to follow a similar path. A number of forces in the international petroleum markets have set off this downward trend, namely the application of new technology, which has increased shale oil and gas production in North America. 2, the economic slowdown, which has reduced oil demand by some of the world's largest oil consumers, including China, Japan, and Europe. Thirdly, the leveraging of energy resources to achieve geopolitical objectives. And 4, the surplus of oil available in the market with continuing production by oil-producing countries. These dynamics have combined to create the current situation where, in order to successfully navigate this period of price turbulence, we must continue to act carefully and responsibly. It is noteworthy to recall that when I was a member of the government in the 90s, the oil price fell to as low as $9 per barrel. Yet, the economy was kept strong, investor confidence remained high, and stability was maintained. I make this reference to reinforce the point that Trinidad and Tobago has been here before and was able to overcome the challenges faced. The population can feel confident that once again, the nation is fortunate to have a government in place that has demonstrated responsible fiscal policies, that has balanced investments in social programs and people-centered development, whilst simultaneously turning the fragile economy we inherited in 2010 into the stable and strong one that it is today. Our economic reforms since 2010
Right. Jerome, that was for you. That was from January of 2015, right? January 2015, where the price of oil, as you heard her say there, fell from $107 in June of 2014 to $48 and some cents in 2015. And the situation was so dire that she needed to have an address to the nation to speak to people about the state of the economy, right? And that little speech that she gave there that was filled with platitudes and so on, and she didn't really get a favorable rating from several entities. Why did I play that? You hear what she said there? The government, that the country is fortunate to have a government that has employed sensible fiscal measures and so on. Let me read this for you. And I want to read this too for Mr. Philip Alexander, all right, who want a breakdown of how the money spent. That 15 million, what it is to be spent on, and so on, because that money wasn't approved by the parliament, and how it is that the minister could just allocate money that wasn't approved, and yada, yada, yada. Okay, let me read this for you. Let me get it here. Where is it? Jerome, I hope you're listening. This is an article dated January 15th, 2015, entitled Carnival Budget Mistake Has Hawaii in Bind. Douglas NCC Hope for Bly. Minister of Arts and Multiculturalism, Dr. Lincoln Douglas, right? Finance Minister Larry Hawaii is reviewing TNT's finances in order to find more money for activities, for carnival activities, due to a $150 million oversight made by the Culture Minister Lincoln Douglas. Hawaii met with Douglas and the National Carnival Commission boss Lauren Pouchet late into Tuesday, and again late last night to discuss avenues to fix the $150 million financial hole in Douglas's budget, as the ministry now cannot meet some of its obligation to some carnival stakeholders. The TNT Guardian understands that when Douglas initially submitted his budget allocation figures to Hawaii before the presentation of the 2015 budget, he neglected to include a $150 million carnival-related debt incurred by the NCC in 2013. So you incur a debt of $150 in 2013, oil prices high, money flowing like that, and 2015 oil ain't pay that yet. But I hear man talking yesterday about, contractor doing work and no budget and approve and it ain't have no money. So these contractors who did this work for $150 million, 2 years they waiting for the money. Huh? So how they do the work? And no money ain't pass. Only memory short. All right, we going again. We continuing. Here it is. You hear what you said there? Oil prices fell from $107 to $48 and some cents. And this government, the country is fortunate we have a government that is engaging in sensible fiscal measures and responsibility. Here the budget for Carnival 2015, the last one when they were in office. Right? As such, when his ministry was allocated its $314 million budget for Carnival 2015, there was a shortfall after the NCC obligation was met. This sent Douglas back to cabinet last week seeking $43 million more to meet obligations. After Tuesday's meeting, the TNT Guardian understands Hawaii sent Douglas and Pouchet to renegotiate with Carnival contractors in an effort to reduce the amount owed by the NCC. The two were to report back to Hawaii yesterday with the reduced figures before any subvention could be taken back to the cabinet for approval. While Douglas issued a media release yesterday denying he had approached cabinet last week for any additional money for Carnival, Hawaii himself confirmed Douglas did make the request. The odds are up. We'll continue when I come back, because you know I decided to take a little bit all your call time. Stay locked. Don't move. Professor, you could go and see if you get a shandy now. You have a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Mr. Happy Papi, Mr. Happy Papi, yeah, they calling me Mr. Happy Papi, Mr. Happy Papi, cause I ever happy, yeah. Stress for what? No, vex for what? No, rest for what? No, nothing can get to me. Fret for what? No, regret for what? No, upset for what? No, nothing can get to me. Problems, I don't have no problems. And yes, to that I face, I let the intact. I tell food, no checking back. Happiest life I live in that. Positive vibes, I'm a thing that. Flags in the sky, everything shot. Enough hot girls wanna fling back. Right few give me the ring back. But as long as you call my name, then I will answer. I'm a happy camper, and love is my sponsor. Oh, and as long as I'm man of life, then I will dance up. No time for no anger. I'm smiling with me hands up. Hey, what they calling me? Mr. Happy Papi, Mr. Happy Papi, Mr. Happy Papi. Yeah, what they calling me? Mr. Happy Papi, Mr. Happy Papi. 'Cause I ever happy. Yeah, happiness, happy life, happy wife. Call my name.
Simpsons Memorial Limited, number 63 Eastern Main Road, Laventille. Internationally accredited funeral directors and embalmers. A full-service funeral home serving families of Trinidad and Tobago and internationally since 1945. At Simpsons Memorial Limited, we serve with dignity in assisting families in honoring the memory of their loved ones. Our services include professional funeral and pre-planning, burials and cremation, custom-built and imported caskets, conference and cremation trains, cemetery management, limousines, mourners cars, grief counseling, web streaming of funerals, fully air-conditioned chapel with live musical accompaniment, full global shipping and receiving of loved ones. We specialize in facial restorations. Call us anytime, day or night, at 623-8688. That number again is 623-8688. Simpsons Memorial Limited. Superior service, always with excellence.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring.
Join Pastor Kelvin Heinerine and friends for The Way, The Truth, The Life Radio Ministry, a Church of God ministry, live on the street 919 FM from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This and every Sunday on the street 919 FM. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father except through me. John chapter 14, verse 6. For further information, contact 686-3845, 349-5178, or 342-7303.
Get plenty savings from the People's Choice winner. Extra Foods, plenty for 20. Top Shelf Ramen, 8 for $20. Or Snap Granola Bars, 7 for $20. Caribbean Flavors Coconut Milk Powder, 5 for $20. Gala Apples, 8 for $20. Holiday Tortillas, 7 for $20. Fruity Juices, 8 for $20. Joe Sing Noodles, 6 for $20. Soft and Pretty Toilet Paper, 12 rolls for $20. And so much more. Sale ends February 6th. And check us out on Facebook and Instagram for even more plenty for 20 specials. Extra Foods, always extra for less.
There's a new taste in town. Maracas Bacon Shack at 79 Robert Street in Woodbrook brings you bacon shot, kingfish, fries, shrimp, aloo pies, and delectable sauces to tease your taste buds. Walk in, order with food drop, or get parking lot pickup at 488 Bake or 75 Shot. Need catering? No problem. Call or email tastemaracas@gmail.com. Follow Taste Maracas on social media for all the delicious details. Taste Maracas, the new taste in town. Corner of Roberts and Rosalino Streets. See you soon.
What is Apex? It is the pinnacle of high-performance vision through a lens. It's clarity, no matter what angle you look at. It's comfort, no matter what you do all day, every day. And it's customized, with every digital measurement your eyes require to see at their very best. Apex Digital Lenses by Value Optical, the ultimate lens design for your eyes. Value Optical. Expert care for your eyes.
If you're experiencing pain, constipation, headaches, poor blood circulation, high or low blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, swollen or darkened feet, come visit us at Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. We at Health and Wealth Lifestyle offer a wide range of services. Come and experience our new 3D analyzer, which allows you to have a look inside your body. We also provide live blood analysis, iridology, ionic foot detox with foot soak and foot massage, aquatherapy, full body massage, and organic supplements on sale such as Nano Silver, Nano Zinc, Body Light, cold pressed sesame oil, and more. Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at number 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. For more information, call 275-8359 or 288-1108. Join Nicole Huggins for Health and Wealth Lifestyle every Monday from 9:05 a.m. to 9:55 a.m. right here on the street 919 FM.
Police, good day. Officer Best Price here. Johnny Q Auto Parts Division?
Yes, sir.
I'm here to investigate an assault on batteries.
Excuse me, sir?
Is it true? You have batteries selling for $488?
Yes. Power Master, Optima, Vata, and Megastar batteries.
So I could buy a battery for $488?
Yes, sir. For cars, trucks, and boats. Backed and distributed by Massey Automotive.
Which part?
Right here at Johnny Q Hardware and Auto Parts Division, 15 Arrowbita Avenue, Woodbrook. And our new Johnny Q Superstore, located at Lowlands Mall off Claude Noel Highway in Tobago. You could call 60 Tools.
Alright, thanks, boss. Nah, man. Granny,
do you have $488 to lend, man?
Hi, what's up, TNT? This is Wayne Johnson out of Brooklyn, New York. I always wanted to do something back home, and we're going to be doing our gospel segment on Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM. Listen what I want you to do. Spread the word. Spread the word, TNT. Salvation, full and free. Salvation is for everybody. Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 125 Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. For the program, Health and Healing, merging the old with the new with Mr. Brent Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services, 919 FM.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying locked. Central, hold your horses. I opened the line just now, right? I know you want to come and defend foolishness, but hold your horses. I ain't done yet. You know, I had to take a little bit all your call time. I'm going to give you all a little bit more of the back end times. Listen to this.
To a position of resilience and stability will be used in shifting our priorities and maintaining stability. How do we adjust these priorities? What are we adjusting? In moving forward, there will be areas where we must moderate or redirect our spending in order to manage the present situation, always making sure that we keep people and country first. Reviews of our PSIP and recurrent expenditure are ongoing, with the aim of identifying savings of approximately $4.5 billion. You can be assured that these adjustments are aimed at preserving employment levels and job security. Amongst the areas identified for redirectional spending, and indeed in helping us to make up the shortfall of the $7.5 billion resulting from the decline in the oil prices, these are the areas that we will consider. Infrastructure projects for which funding has not yet been confirmed. Lower expenditure on non-critical goods and services and allocations in selected ministries by about 15%. And since there is an inverse relationship between the price of gas, the price of oil, and the petroleum subsidy, a lower price for oil results in a lower petroleum subsidy. This is estimated with our revised conservative average of $45 per barrel This is estimated to be about 1.4 billion in expenditure savings. So this will take us to about 4.5 billion towards making up the shortfall of 7.5 billion. Any additional shortfall will be met from revenues generated as a result of our continued public offering program and
Right. You heard that, right? All the areas that they plan to cut in expenditure in the ministries by 15%. And redirecting monies from here and there and so forth. Yeah? You hear that, right? Infrastructure spending, PSIP and the like. And you heard that for yourself. But I just read it for you all. The People's Partnership budget for Carnival 2015, 314 million. And let me put that figure into perspective for Somalia. This government built the whole QREP interchange for 221 million. 221 million, we get a whole QREP interchange, but they spent $314 million was the budget for Carnival 2015, and Lincoln Douglas had to come back and beg for 43 more. How much is that? 314 plus 43? $357 million. And could I almost do the whole Red House for that money? The amount of money that they spent on Carnival alone 2015, could I do the President's House, White Millfleur, Killarney, which is Tolmaya Castle, the whole Magnificent Seven could have been done with that. The amount of money that they spent for just Carnival alone 2015, you hear her talking there about the price of oil drop and we need to cut here and cut there, cut and contrive. We had to cut back from $107 to $48. Cutting have to take place, right? The money that they spent on Carnival 2015, this government built 2 hospitals with that. But all you know now, all the things we could do with that 15 million or that 20 million that has been approved for the Taste of Carnival, all of a sudden, all you UNC supporters, you all know that money could spend on buying beds for the hospital. And you all know it could spend on buying medication. It could pave road and it could pay public servants. And but 357 million, you all didn't know what that money could do. So apparently in January, February of 2015, there were no poor people in Trinidad. There were no unemployed people in Trinidad. There was nobody suffering. We were living in a veritable utopia. Everybody was rich. Everybody money flowing like milk and honey. And so you all didn't know all the alternatives. Remember back in 2015, at that time we were facing another potential pandemic, which was Ebola. And how much money did they set aside to create a parallel healthcare system to treat with Ebola if it came here? What was the sum total of preparation? Their parallel healthcare system, 4 ICU beds in Cora, a few hazmat suits, and 17,000 body bags. You all remember that? 357 million for Carnival 2015. And that was more of a priority for them than setting up a parallel healthcare system to treat with Ebola, should it have arrived here. Well, let's forget that. Well, the memory short. But no, well, they could tell this administration what 20 million could do, but you all didn't know what 357 million could do just 6 or 7 years earlier. Yeah, you all didn't know to tell Kamala that. But I see people on the line now will talk about, so we blaming the UNC. No, you see, it's the hypocrisy of the UNC is what I always talk about. Because now they're talking about, where that money come from. That 20 million wasn't approved by Parliament in the budget. Let me ask them. The extra $43 million that Lincoln Douglas went and asked for, did Parliament approve that? Who approved it? The money you all paid for the fire truck. Who approved that? Parliament approved that money? You all weren't asking then where that money come from. You didn't know then that those monies weren't approved by Parliament. But all of a sudden now you all know money is not approved by Parliament and where it coming from. And when it is that they had the sinkhole that developed by the lighthouse down on South Key down there. You all remember that? And they brought in the contractor. The media interviewed the then Minister of Works, Emmanuel George, and they asked him, so what is this going to cost? This repair going to cost? You all remember what Mr. Emmanuel George's response was? I remember very well. He said, we haven't had that discussion yet. We don't know what the contractor is going to charge. But because of the nature of the job, whatever price the contractor charges, the government will have to pay. You remember that? Where was procurement? You all wasn't studying about procurement then. So if the contractor come and say $100 million to fix that hole, the minister already gave a commitment. Interestingly, that was the same contractor whose name was called up with the fire truck issue. Remember? Times today I told you, I promised you I was going to give you a back in time. Central? You all remember that? No, only remember that. So 357 million, 2015, Carnival. You know what was the budget for Carnival 2020 under this administration? 134. All of the same things that they had for Carnival in 2015, they had in 2020. 134. All of a sudden now, all you're bright. And bright like bulb. All you. And only talking about the pods and the pig pen and whatnot. Always a taste of Carnival, but that is not Carnival. And Gypsy say, you have to spend money to make money and whatnot and stuff. And only asking who coming in Trinidad and whatnot and to view that. This is about 2 years now, you're complaining, no Carnival, and we're suffering from COVID fatigue, and that is why we're having all these underground parties, because people are restless, they're fed up, stay inside, they want somewhere to go and release the stress. And the government is giving you all a little something. The situation does not allow them to do more than what they're currently doing, but that is not enough for you. So now the UNC want to know where that money coming from. Where the money come from for you all to pay 300 and something million for the old warehouse up in Santa Rosa? Where that money came from? The 50 million that you spend on voices your government working for you, the parliament approved that? Where that money came from? The $20 million that you spend on happiness campaign, well, we know where that came from, NGC. Parliament approved that? All you didn't know about them thing. But now, all of a sudden, we are experts on all the alternatives that the government could spend this money on. And people suffering, and people have food, and this and that. So as I said, 2015, they don't nobody suffering. Nah. You know, like I had baby grant, make child that you can't support, and we'll give you $500 a month. As if $500 could mine a child. And we will give you Colony Orange, $69 a day to paint building. And then when we have the lunch, we bring a whole set of police, because we know, as I said, I never see from Lavantil that come in. So meet them, big guns, police waiting for them. And then when you come inside the hall now, the Prime Minister all like to say, oh, Rowley does like treat people like children. Hands up, out, down. Who said that? Wasn't Keith Rowley. Big man and woman, some of them older than Kamla at that time, telling them hands up, out, down. Yeah, but Rowley does buffer people. And that's what you gave them. That was the handouts. We say all kind of thing about CPEP when you're in opposition. Oh, it is the intergenerational transfer of poverty. And no other government in the history of the world was so wicked and evil to their supporters. One man called it a loveless thing. You remember that? Nothing good to say about CPEP at that time. CPEP had 5,000 workers. And as soon as they come into office, they increase it from 5,000 to 15,000.
This is your Royal Castle Soca Shot on the street.
We're going to the Soca Shot. We'll be right back.
Is a local something that makes it all taste better. It's the flavor of our culture. Come from here, come from there, and everywhere. It's the special flavor that's made us savor at the Royal Castle. Welcome the Royal Castle. Royal Castle. Flavor to the bone. Royal Castle. Taste the very own. Royal Castle is the local something that makes it all taste better. Taste the unique flavor of our culture at Royal Castle.
Jump up on a stage, or mash up the place. Just a party again, is the remedy before it's too late. So we did a jump in a one. We can't wait. A good set under the sun until the party done. parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle. From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air, you just couldn't resist. And like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. The kids can't resist it either. Plus, they have more to enjoy. For me, the castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and it's the real flavor of TNT.
That was your Royal Castle Soca Shot on the Street 919 FM. Brought to you by Royal Castle, our culture, our taste.
Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you for staying locked to the Street 919 FM. So I will open the lines shortly. Just one more thing, right? So thank you, Teresa, for sending me this clip. I can't find because it seems that the individual may have taken it down. But I just want to ask again the UNC. The 6 point something million that was spent for helicopter rides, did the Parliament approve that? The million plus that was spent for Vidwati to joyride around the world with her sister playing nurse, did the Parliament approve that? I just asking. Let's see if I can play this here for you.
Tell me, Trinidad and Tobago, how is what you see in here not fraud? How is this not theft? This minister admitted he had no approval. There was no budget. And they entered into contractual arrangements with these companies. How is this not a conspiracy to defraud the treasury? How is this not theft? Why are ministers not in handcuffs this morning? Why is Winston Gypsy Peters not under arrest? Where is the investigation into how these taxpayers' dollars were spent? Who is providing this stage? Who are providing these pods? Why was this money spent and there was no approval in this budget, in the economy? The Minister of Finance is committing a criminal act. The Exchequer is committing a criminal act. How is this not theft? How is this not fraud? If you hold a little black fella in Payless supermarket with a tin of corned beef and a cold sweet drink, is jail for him mother ass. How him Butt and Mitchell and Peters getting away with this? Explain that to me, Trinidad and Tobago. Explain that to me this morning. Where did Call member thief this money from? Did he thief it from the treasury? Did he thief it from the food card people? Where did the Minister of Finance thief this money from?
That's enough of him, right? Yeah, that's enough of him there, and that foolishness, that nonsense. So you want to know where that 15 million come from, and you want an itemized list of how it's spent. Well, let me ask you something, Philip. How come you're not asking the former commissioner of police the 7 point something million that was spent on the AstroTurf by the barracks? How come you're asking him where that money come from? Why you don't want an itemized list from the contractors of how that was spent, Philip? You need to go and do live in front of the Red House. You need to do live in front of the President's house. When are you going to do the live by the barracks, Philip? Asking questions about that turf, Philip, because there are two reports that raise serious questions, Philip, with respect to propriety in the issue of those contracts. But you ain't interested in that. But you're interested in, you want to know how that money spent. Eh, Philip? I just asking a question. But I see the lines going. All right, let me see who I have here. I keep only waiting long enough. Let me go. Hello, good morning. Afternoon, sorry.
Hello, a pleasant good afternoon to you.
Yes, sir, good afternoon.
How are you doing this?
Oh, I am very good.
How are you doing this fantabulous, splendiferous, marvelous, tremendous, spectacular day? Dominic?
Excellent.
Wonderful. Dominic?
Yes, sir.
I want to agree with you on something. I want to agree with you with respect to the $7.3 million turf that Gary Griffith put on in the police barrack. I would like to know what happened with that.
Yes.
Because I think that's also important. But Dominic, if I am normally a balanced person, I also want to know about the cow pens in the savannah and how come so quickly a contractor was able to have all the equipment in order to do those cow pens in such a short space of time.
Did you hear what I was saying from the start?
No, I wasn't listening.
Right.
I wasn't listening.
And I drew to your attention that there's 4 different types of tendering that is done in the public sector. All right? And what happens...
Was there RFP? No, was there RFP for that?
Right. So this is one of the pre-qualified contractors that the NCC has in their database. And given the time factor that we were dealing with, the approval for this carnival thing took place in the middle of January, and this needed to be done by end of February, the Taste of Carnival. You have 5 weeks. If you take 2 weeks to do send out RFPs, and then another 2 weeks in order to assess all of these different tenders and so on, that leaves you with just 1 week for a Taste of Carnival. Well, the contractors, the sole select, as I mentioned from Alpha Raymond, is used in situations where you would have used a contractor or contractors before, and based on their track record and the relationship that you have with them, you are allowed to use these contractors in emergency situations such as this. It's the same contractor that the NCC has been using for years.
But Dominic,
yes,
Dominic, maybe the government should have done like the 2 transformational leaders in Tobago, Solomon Watson Duke and Farley Chavez Acosta, and move Carnival from March to September, October, so you could have more time in order to do the things that you need to do, because we are in a pandemic. And to me, post-suffering people, right? Post-suffering people would have understood more that this, it's only 15 million. And you know, Dominic, I think the people in the PNM need to stop bashing the UNC. The UNC haven't been in power since 2015. They have not been in power. Poor people suffering in Trinidad and Tobago, as Black Stalin says, sufferers only want to know where the next plate of food coming from.
Right.
And when you come to the airways, and all you're doing is telling people what the UNC, the UNC, the UNC, the UNC. Them poor sufferers in the beatum in urban Trinidad, they don't want to hear about that.
All right, so let me ask you something. In 2015, were there sufferers in the beatum?
Yes.
When 357 million was spent on Carnival? Did you call in then, sir, and call on the UNC to take some of that Carnival money and help the sufferers in the beatum and the sufferers in Trumacat?
But Dominic, you see, Dominic, that is hypocrisy, Dominic.
How is that hypocrisy?
You, Dominic, in 2015 was on Power 102 bashing the PNM with Rika Ramjet as you being chairman of the ILP, Dominic.
You heard me bash the PNM, sir?
What's that?
You heard me bash the PNM?
Oh, all right, Dominic. I go produce the tape.
All right.
From
Please.
Power 102 that you and Rika Ramjet was on there bashing the PNM. But before I go, and Dominic, I want to say thank you very kindly for giving me the opportunity to speak, because you could hang up the phone on me.
Yes.
Right? So I am very careful with the programs that I call in Trinidad, because people don't want to hear my hearing, because I talk facts. I don't talk fiction. I talk facts. But let me say this before I go, Dominic. Right? You also said this morning that you never see people from Laventel. Right? I don't think you should be making that statement.
You heard me say never see people from Laventel.
Quote. I have a quote.
All
Go
right.
back to your thing. I write down the
quote. Read it for me. Let me hear you.
Never see from Laventel.
No, don't just say that. Give me the whole quote.
No, I took the quote. You never see people from Laventel.
And in what context did I say that, sir? Because remember, you said yesterday the last time the Prime Minister went to Laventel was 2011, which is untrue. The Prime Minister opened 2 pools in Laventel. Is the both constituencies?
No. Listen, you are absolutely correct. I said the last time, yes, I failed to mention the pool. You are 100% correct.
Correct. All right.
I failed to mention the pool, but it didn't go. But Dominic, the people on the beatum dealing with sewer water since August 2014.
Right.
The Prime Minister is a stone throw away across in Success Laventel, and he can't go over there and talk to them people.
And when Mr. Hines went there, sir, and they kick water on him, that made sense, right? Did you condemn those who did that?
But listen,
was that appropriate?
People there. But listen, I can't tell you people on the beatum what to do.
Oh,
I can't tell you how to come and run your program here on Sunday mornings. You want to tell me now to tell the beatum people what they're going through and what they should do?
No,
on, man.
No, I am saying, but you could tell the Prime Minister what to do, but you can't tell the people at beatum. So
I can't tell him what to do.
But you just telling him he's supposed to go there. You find he's supposed to go there because he just has stone throw away.
But why you not going there? You afraid to go there? You could go to all the security in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
You could go with all of them.
Let me ask you.
The Army, the Coast Guard, the police.
So all right. So what about Siparia? You don't have poor people in Siparia? What about Faizabad? What about Oropuch? What about Point Fortin and Labre? And there are poor people there too?
I am pro Lavantil.
Okay. So you're pro Lavantil, but you're anti country because you don't care about the rest of the country. He's the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
But Dominic, yes. And you need to treat the people of Chumacac, Lavantil the same way, because look at the abandoned building sitting there.
Right.
6 years under the PNM.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2011. The tree unpainted building sitting there for 10 years under the PNM.
Right.
And them people have been the most loyal people to the PNM.
Mm-hmm.
The building on Duncan Street, which you lie, and I hope you're going to apologize about it. The building on Duncan Street, the former Workers' Bank, which you said, Dominic, was being renovated, and it was the building across the street. You didn't apologize for that.
And as I would have explained to you, that entire block is going to be, you see, you need to do your research. Because you talk about Google. Do your research.
Dominic,
all right?
Dominic, you stated the building was not...
Yeah, and you stated that the Prime Minister did not go to Lavantil for 11, 12 years, and you lied. You hear me making an answer that?
Mistake, and I apologize for that mistake. You apologize now for lying.
Apologize for what?
The building wasn't renovated.
The building is going to be renovated, sir. All right? You need to familiarize yourself with that.
The building was being renovated at the time.
Wall Street, do you have anything else to contribute, sir?
Okay, last week before I go, I heard you also stated about the government being unpopular, but I'm going to leave with this. Why is this government unpopular? Because they locked out exile and stranded citizens for over 1 year. They're spending 15 million on cow pens in the savannah. So
that is untrue. $15 million is being spent on 28 events that will be hosted over 3 venues. Stop saying 15 million is being spent in the savannah. That is another lie. It is untrue. It is 28 events over 3 venues. Why do you keep people coming on the radio and lying about this thing? It is not true.
But let me finish. Let me finish now. Let me just please finish, if you don't mind. Right? Spending 15 million on cow pens in Savannah so people can go drink water.
Wall Street is $15 million being spent in the savannah. I just told you it's 28 events that will be held in Queen's Hall, Queen's Park, Savannah, and Naparima Bowl. That is untrue. Monies from that will be allocated for prize money because they have King and Queen of the Bands, they have Calypso Monarch, and all of these things, prize monies. It is not 15 million being spent on cow pens. Every time you say that, you are misrepresenting the truth.
Dominic, let's say 1 million out of the 15 million is being spent on cow pen.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
It shouldn't be, and we need to find out who's the contractor that is spending that 1 million on the cow pens. Let me finish.
Yes.
Right? That was the second one. Right? In addition to that, right? This is why the government is unprepared. The many people on the bottom who have to deal with sewer smell on a consistent daily basis since August 2021. And of course, I already mentioned the building in Chumacac, Lavantil, that people just cost me. Then when you go along, get along, and when there's cost me, and the tree unpainted building. But Dominic...
Wall Street, before you go, let me ask you one thing. How long you live in Lavantil?
I lived in Lavantil until I was 18 years old.
How long you living in New Jersey?
About 2 years ago, be about 40-something years.
Right, so you're 40-something years in New Jersey and you're pro-Lavantil. Are you aware that according to Forbes, there are 1.353 million people living below the poverty line in New Jersey, where you have spent over 42 years? Are you as passionate about poverty in New Jersey as you are about Chumacac, Wall Street? What are you doing to deal with poverty in New Jersey, where you have lived for 42 years and pay taxes for 42 years, Wall Street?
Jersey can handle them stories.
So they can handle the stories, and they have as many people living below the poverty line as you have in the entire population of Trinidad, and they can't deal with the stories yet. A country that could print money, Wall Street, a country that gives away billions of dollars every year, Wall Street, to other countries, and they can't deal with their own.
People like me, but Dominic, they need people like me to stand up, because some of them cannot stand up. And Dominic, before I go, I want to say this to you. I always say you're talking about a professor this and a professor this.
Yes.
Your performance this morning in my class would have received an F minus.
Well, based on what I heard you say yesterday, you would have got ungraded for that. That you come in to talk about you worked on Wall Street and insider trading, and you don't know about sole select tender, you don't know about sole selective tendering, you don't know about public procurement and these things, and what is the system used in the public service here? And you lecture in business management and you don't know about pre-qualification? You for real?
You talk about RFP, request for proposal.
Yes, request for proposals. When they do pre-qualifications, they do it before they need the services, so they create a database. So when we need the service, we go into the database and we choose who we want.
It's a racket. It's corruption.
Well, you call it what you want, sir.
It's a racket, Dominic. It's a racket.
All right, Wall Street, if you say so. Well, according to Afro-Raymond, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and that is a man who you all like to lift up for attacking the government for sandals. But we have other calls. Thank you very much, Wall Street. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, Dominic.
Hi, good afternoon.
Dominic, I fed up with this man, you know. God, boy, this man make it really tough for me. God, boy.
Thank you, Jabba. Why is not answering? Let me see here. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I don't know why you waste time with that clown so much time. But anyhow,
yes,
I want to let him know that Gypsy had suggested Carnival in Tobago in October years ago.
Yes.
Apparently, I don't know what kind of professor he is. The next thing too is that the people of LAC, they are well compensated. They're living nice now in our open gardens and all about it.
Yes.
They probably even forgot the kind of situation in Lavante with that building. So,
yes.
I mean, this man is a professor. You really serious? I can't believe it. That man is a drunk. I would call him Wall but not Wall Street. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I don't understand it. You've given 42 years of your life to New Jersey. 1.353 million people living below the poverty line in New Jersey. It means, you know what that means, Wall Street? That as soon as you walk out the door, you potentially could meet somebody who living below the poverty line. You go to the grocery, anywhere that you go. Even in your own class, you probably have people who living below the poverty line too, about 1.353 million people. What are you doing to help them? You only spent 18 years in Lavantil, but you're so pro Lavantil and you're not pro New Jersey. You're looking for them to take back your citizenship. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, sorry.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dominic.
Greetings.
Dominic, yes, Dominic.
Yes, ma'am.
I listened to about 2 minutes of that man, and I always hearing this stripping. But anyhow, he took over about your show for about 15 minutes or so.
Yes.
And if he wants to run a show, let him come and take a show. Because I turned down the volume on meeting, and every minute I had to turn back to see if he's still there. And it's nonsense, nothing educational. I don't know what kind of person that is. So anyhow, I mean, you give such a good thing this morning, and you just come here putting nonsense like if you don't know A, B, C, D. I don't know, no? I don't know. Are we getting too much at time? Okay then, bye.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. All right, let me see who else I have there. Yes, who is this? Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother. Good afternoon.
Greetings, Eric.
Dominic, G's and Ages. That's not. I tell Google Friday, I say if this man was my lecturer in UE, I skip all my semester in class, from class, because this man is a big man who you said spent 42 years in the US. So you don't know that the US or that state in New Jersey have people who below the poverty line, and you every single day, Dominic, that man has called us for the building in Lavantil. Wall Street, take my advice. If you want the building here, what? Give up America the green card, come back to Trinidad, and you maintain them buildings. Because, you know what? They're becoming a nuisance right now in people's head every single day. Dominic is it's all the program in the morning, it's Google program, it's Aisha West program. It's right through this man, them talking about this billion. But we fed up here with this billion talk, boy. You are that big man who spent 42 years in the States. You talking as if that's so bad, that's so bad. And Dominic, at the end of the day, it's we that cause our own problem. Lavantil don't have to be out there, but people just choose to be in that lifestyle. And don't come and blame the government. The government is there to assist people in dealing with problems. Wall Street is issue. Give back a green card and come down to Trinidad and come and deal with the business of Antilles. Because right now, you're making no sense in people's head right now. Dominic, I got a headache right now. I love son.
Thank you, Eric. I mean, you're supposed to be concerned about New Jersey. You're paying taxes there for how many donkey years? How much taxes you pay to the Treasury and the government of Trinidad and Tobago? And as I made the point before, the minute that the government decides that they're going, the other day when Dr. Rowley, they set up the committee with this guy, oh gosh, I forget the guy named Hans Devines and this motivational guy. They had a big issue about that. They had an issue with the Prime Minister doing that. So the minute the government chooses to focus its attention on Beetham and Lavantil and all of these different areas, that all they like to make it seem as if it's only abject poverty. But I make the point, Lavantil have people who are doing extremely well. But all you only like to focus on that side, when you're passing on the highway and you watch up on the hill. But on the other side, from over side, when you're coming over the Lady Young, all you know about there. Some of them living better lives than people who live in some of the so-called big shot areas. Right? I can tell you that. But we don't focus on that. Always paint this picture as if Lavantil suffering and is abject poverty. But the country that you've lived in for 42 years, sir, that you pay taxes to, every year they're giving away billions of dollars to other countries to uplift the standard of living of the citizens of those countries. And meanwhile, in New Jersey, 1.353 million people living below the poverty line. In Los Angeles, just on the outskirts of LA, you have a place called Tent City, where you have born and bred American citizens living in tents for over 10 years. Some of them they lost their homes because of the global financial crisis in 2008, 2009. I don't know if you was probably on Wall Street at that time, right? They're living in tents, no running water, no proper sanitation, no electricity, right? Talk about them. What you're doing to help them. You've given more of your life to that country than this one. So you should be concerned about poverty. Over 43 million people in the United States living below the poverty line. That is more than the entire population of the Caribbean. That is where you need to focus your attention. So not on 3 buildings in Trumacac. Really? Let's see. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Dominic, the government went on a retreat recently. I don't know if I missed it. But did the government give the people an explanation of what was discussed in that retreat, Dominic? I'll listen out the ear.
Okay.
And I will leave it there.
All right. Well, as the Prime Minister would have indicated yesterday, sir, if you had listened to yesterday's meeting, quite a lot would have been said about what came out of that retreat. But not only that, the Prime Minister has given a commitment going forward that you're going to have a lot more of yesterday's meetings where the population will be kept apprised of everything that the government is doing and otherwise. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Dominic.
Yes, sir, greetings.
Dominic, you have barely boy soldier with about tablet you just take before you come here to deal with them people and them. It's about Wall Street tablet or them birds and them don't make no sense, boy soldier. Yeah, listen now, I listen to this Saturday program. You know anything called the CONCORDAAK?
No, sir.
Oh, yeah, Concord Plain Act.
No, sir.
Dominic, it's Concord Act.
Yes.
The agreement between church and state.
Correct.
Listen, you call me out and say, oh, well, my partner, well, if we talk about education, Dominic, when anybody, I talk, calling out the black youths out there who bright, the hustlers and things out there, all they just use subjects that all they don't know, all they using to hustle, and if all they go into the school, all they realize that the school work, the academia will be easier because they have an exposure, a general overview of what those numbers and things that they're going to represent. If you understand what I'm trying to say,
yes.
They don't know that they will be better in an academic environment because nobody not telling them, if you understand. And when you listen to them, brother, Dominic, I give up now, you know. This is about the 19th time I say I give up on that program, right?
Yes.
And listen to what you just explained. Let me tell you, it will not register. These people, they're blank, they're baseless, they have no depth of understanding, and they rely on dunceness and illiteracy to relay their message. They rely on racism, prejudice, and a stupid non-overview of everything in order to try to implant it into people who don't know better here, Dominic. It had so much I had to say, boy, but That first call turned more for a dread, boy, but I realized you had a little bone to pick with it.
Yes.
If you know, I realized you had a bone. So I kind of learned. Had one more issue I wanted to talk about in terms of other than the Concordat or sheep. Right? Sheep. The plural for sheep is SHEEP.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, you just say sheep. Go on, Dominic. You have a nice day.
You too. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Good day.
Greetings.
Nice to get into your program, man. Dominic, let me tell you something, right? This guy have a program, right? W something, right?
Yes.
And I think he just wants airtime on a popular radio station to get his idea across, because I don't think plenty people listen to his station, right? To see that your conversation you had this morning, and this guy come and change your whole topic of what it was about, right? He diverting you from what your program is. That is his intention, because all he does is being repetition is one thing over and over. As they tell him, Workers' Bank is being renovated. It's a strong structure. You cannot demolish that bank or give it away. They're going to develop it. Okay, over and over, I keep telling this guy the same thing I take into it. But Dominic, what you're talking about, the carnival development, about 15 million, and when you compare it to 357 million under the UNC government, what is wrong with these people? All that, a difference of $200 and something million, and you talking now, 223 million difference, and you talking now about hospital and water for all, and all these different things. And when you was in power, 357 million compared to $15 million for Carnival, a taste of Carnival, trying to get some foreign exchange to come into the government, and you talking about what the government is spending? All this happiness program, $1 million for Calypso Monarch, and money just going down the drain. And now only comparing, man, Dominic, keep on your program, brother. I don't know, body divert you. Your programmers are very interested, and you're bringing back something to the people that the people will like to hear. A lot of them, they're calling the parts of them a pen, but you know a lot of them who own the government money and in court, they have to work back to save themselves from going in. You understand, Dominic? And you're telling pre-qualified contractors. You have a database, and you know who could do good job and who can do the shady job. You can't get a man a job to go and build downtown stand.
Yes.
And he know he's a reliable contractor. Come on, Dominic, teach them something there. Forget that guy. Okay.
Yes, sir. Calling the pods, Cowpen, and yeah. Ring fence and people in Cowpen and so on. But I was in New York for Christmas, sir. I was in New York for the end of the year when they were setting up their square, for the ball drop. Cowpen and the same police barricade things that they use. Yeah, they had those. So they were corralling people in New York City, Times Square. I was there, I saw it. Yeah, Cowpen. They wasn't complaining about them Cowpen. Okay. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, Dominic, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Dominic, oh gosh. Dominic, you ever get so angry? You just had to laugh it off, brother.
Yes.
Dominic, guys, now you boy. Dominic, you know a world phenomenon, mental illness is real?
Yes.
It is real, Dominic. This guy is suffering from mental illness. And Dominic, and I'm saying that with no apologies, Dominic, this guy is trying to fix broken. He's repetitious. He's dishonest too. Every time you raise a point to him, he wasn't listening to the program, but you hear when you say, never see complete people from Lavantil. This fella is just out to change your program. This is why I love Umbala Joseph for, He can never get away with that. This fella is suffering from mental illness. Dominic, another profession, you see, what he's doing is cutting style and Lavantil people. He's the one who's always saying Lavantil people hungry and this and that and another. What this guy is doing is putting down Lavantil people as hungry and trying to put him up on a pedestal like he's the only one academically make it out of Laventille. And that is not truth. And then you have illiterates like the heavy duty encouraging that. I just thought every time you make a point to move the goalpost. I have 3, my niece and her sisters as academics, doctors and accountants. I keep saying that over and over, and that's who I know. This fella, these people, there's a professor in Woodbrook. What happens when mental illness step in? It's a real story again here. They try to fix broken because they don't know how to build things from the bottom up. So they're stuck in that time warp because they believe they're brighter than everybody. So they're stuck in this illusion of trying to fix broken. But it's really mental illness, right? And what he's doing is trying to hide behind the government because of his incompetence. He's just an academic. Dominic, I'm not attacking you, I love academia,
Yes.
But I'm telling you, it is really a certain word with a professor. They mental illness and they try to fix broken and all the people. Oh, I'm a friend. And he can talk long. I'm a friend. When he talks so old, they will understand he was putting all it down. It's about character. It's about respecting one another. It's about integrity. And you can't buy that in a university. I don't love Dr. Roll because he's a doctor. I love him because he's a forthright man. He's straightforward. But Dominic, what I call for, because I wait long, is to deal with Dr. Rowley meeting yesterday at Ozzy Warwick. Ozzy, I'm calling you out. You had an interview on the program here, right? The PLM is stepping back out in the vineyard. It is called PLM Reloaded, Dominic.
Yes.
Ozzy, you was on this station here, refuting what I said when I asked you to talk show host. Did the government offer you all shares in the new companies? Did the government offer you all to be partners and shareholders and partners in new company? Ozzy Warwick, you tell me no. The Prime Minister have been listening and he has said that he have given you an offer to join into partnership with the government, with the new companies. And I know, Dominic, I'm not a madman. I knew I heard that. And he said there are records of that. Ozzy Warwick, I am calling you out. May talk to host friend and refute what the Prime Minister said. This pastor, you said that Frankie Khan was lying. And Watson Duke told the nation that it's only politicians that is lie. Labour leaders don't lie. You're a sacrosanct. Ozzy Warwick, that is my gross. The Prime Minister has said he had offered your shares in the new company and to make your shareholders. Ozzy Warwick, I'm going. Get back on the program, Ozzy Warwick, and refute what the Prime Minister said. Ozzy, Mayday. I'm going, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. So I may have time for just one more. I have somebody willing. So just to make this point, right? Now, I said a lot this morning, and the only thing that stood out to the professor from New Jersey was my use of the term never see, come see, right? And that was me. You see, context is important. That's why I told him read exactly what I said. Don't just quote those couple words. And what I was saying, I was referencing Color Me Orange when I said that the Color Me Orange was launched at the Hilton Hotel. And because the UNC considered people from Laventille to be never see, come see. So they come in there, they figure they come in there now to get on unruly because like they never come in a hotel before. You had heavily armed police from the riot squad, guard and emergency branch, dressed, ready with tactical gear to deal with these people from Laventille who were coming for the launch of the Color Me Orange. All right? So when you had to quote me, sir, that is why I asked you for context and state exactly what I said. But you pick out that now to create bacchanal and couture, but like to call me and say I making bacchanal. Anyway, hello, good afternoon.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
I hear everything what you said. You never accused people on them at that level. You was indicating something because of the previous government, what they did.
Yes.
And a big man older than Andy comes. Hands up. And I remember I was in first year and second year and whatnot.
Yes.
Standard one and whatnot. Well, this man doing it with Aisha, doing it with Google Premium, please. He was doing it now. As all the program you come in and want it. Well, I never hear you call Sharon. I never hear you call because I know it's okay. This man over there coming to change the program then.
Yes.
The man over there. I want to know he says he's a professor and what time you get to work? What I mean, get a was one person had a lecture. You see that Saturday, 12 o'clock. You see that host?
Yes.
The one who was an educational minister yesterday. Plus, he was a minister of the arts and culture.
Yes.
He was 2-in-1 yesterday. He needed to lecture him, and this man all informed. This man just come on a radio station. The next host, not stupid, you know. I don't hear the next host warning him certain things, you know. When you have to come on Twitter, you have to do your research. Make sure when you come on to say certain things, you have to be professional and strong. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
This man over doing it. The man come on every Saturday and the man all inform real bad. Wall Street lecture him. And Wall Street very unreasonable. Any man will tell you that how Dr. Rowley only went in love until 2010. And I remember with the swimming pool and whatnot.
Yes.
Well, at least he admitted this morning. He pick and choose what I said yesterday. Eh?
And the Prime Minister did have a conversation with the people in Laventille.
No, he know that, but remember that he hated it.
Yes.
He hated, so he don't matter what a carry down Dr. Rowley, he didn't care we had to carry down doctor. He hated real bad. Anyway, Domlet, you enjoy the rest of the day and whatnot.
Thank you.
And this man, all other power stuff for this man. He was worse than Central now. Central and Penal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Out of time, but not out of things to say. The lines are blazing, but unfortunately, we just don't have the time. Join Sharon and Bruce in the morning for Titans of Democracy, and I will be back with you on Tuesday. I feel we need to start this Sunday show a little earlier. You know, management, and we have a conversation. Just not enough time. But folks, as always, thank you for tuning in to Cooking with Dominic on a Sunday. Always a pleasure to be with you. And God's willing, we will speak again on Tuesday. Who knows? Maybe I might just continue the same conversation. We'll see how that goes. But quote me correctly now, sir. Please. With all that talk, you talk there, you can go and have a shandy now. Yeah? Whether it's a red shandy, whatever the flavor. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm out.